Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meach.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach.
Darling.
So without any further ado, I want you guys to welcome with me. You guys know him. He's a wonderful writer with five-star books. Okay. Did I say 5 stars? Okay. You know him as the showrunner for the Queen's Supreme Court. You know him for his own thing. Go over there with So Much to Say with his own podcast. You know him for Gay Like Me with Derek J. You also know him now for T.S. Madison Experience, which is on WeTV. Ha, 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 ha. I'm so fucking proud of that girl there. But she has a team of folks to help get her there. And this is one person who is a part of that team that she likes to praise. And I want to give him some of his flowers as well, because we can't do this without one another. So without any further ado, darlings, this is the one and only Mr. Craig, the writer Stewart. Hello there, my darling.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Okay. What's up in your world, baby? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for asking me.
Michael Jackson is here. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You know what, darling? One of the reasons why I wanted you here is my main focus is to get you maybe not out of your comfort zone, because I think you're very comfortable with talking, but I think you are a little bottled with wanting to let folks know who you are. You'd rather have them read it versus talking about it. So this is an opportunity for us to get to hear Craig and not Craig the writer.
Okay.
So I want to start with, tell us who Craig Stewart is.
I am originally from Baltimore. I'm a writer. I'm a thinker. I'm an activist.
Thought provoker, progressive.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm originally from Baltimore. So Baltimore. Park Heights, Northwest, 21215 is the zip code that I grew up in.
Okay.
But I'm a creative. You know, I started off writing music. I thought that was what my life had for me in terms of career. That snowballed into writing stage plays. And then that, which, you know, I still ended up writing music for those stage plays. So and then that evolved into a greeting card business. And then that evolved into books. And now podcasts and online shows and that kind of thing. So that kind of sums up who I am. But I'm a son, brother, I'm an uncle, you know.
Okay. Now, let me ask this question. I don't know if many people ask this of you. Let's talk about that greeting card thing.
Yeah.
Right.
How is it that you evolved into doing greeting cards? Because now, this is no shade. When I hear about this, I go straight to Good Times with JJ being the artist. And it was an idea that, okay, you could take your art and draw the greeting cards, and we can write the greeting cards. As somebody who has a successful greeting card business at that, what was that transition like to go into that, and how did that market open up for you?
You know, it's interesting because I tell people all the time, every single thing that I've created, I never set out to create, right? The only thing I set out to do was write music, and that never happened for me in terms of getting a song placed on an album. Like, that never materialized.
Okay.
That was the only thing that I set out to do. the books, the greeting cards, the stage plays, those were all things that I like to think or believe that God kind of handed to me.
Right.
So with respect to the greeting card business, I was dating this guy. This was a couple of decades ago. I was dating this guy who had, well, I wasn't dating him. I was trying to date him. I was trying to get to know him.
Right.
He was working on his PhD, and he had a good friend that was going through a breakup with another guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that I was trying to date was trying to find a greeting card that would fit that scenario. This guy was broken, but he was going through something with a guy. And every card that the guy that I was interested in found, they were gender specific. It was always from a girl to one of her girlfriends, or a male to a woman, or a woman to a man. And so he said to me one day, in passing, he said, we should write greeting cards, that are non-gender specific, basically, right? Yeah. And so because I liked him, I said, oh, okay, well, yeah, we could do that, And so he said, well, we'll do one for friendship, we'll do one for breakup, and we'll do one for love. And so the next time that we were supposed to see each other, we were supposed to present our cards to the other person. And he didn't have his cards written, but I had my 3 written. And then I just kept going, and then it turned into a greeting card business. And
wow.
Yeah, so that was how it happened. And so it became sayitinaCard.com.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people become segues to, bring that to you. So you never know what people have for you.
Yeah.
That may not have been for him,
right?
Per se, but that was for you. So he had to use him to get it to you.
Absolutely.
That was the seed.
Right.
That was the seed.
Yeah, and then just to add to what you just said, Big Red, it was almost like my intentions for this particular guy was for me to date him, but God had a vision for why we were connected,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. I like that.
Okay. Now, as a stage play writer, because so am I. See, we parallel a lot. I'm, author, playwright. Mm-hmm. What's your joy in that for stage? Writing for the stage versus seeing how production is working now with television and stuff, because now you're behind the scenes in production, working with Maddie and this, that, and the other. How has that either leveled out, or were there differences and nuances that you had to
adjust to?
Yeah, to forge together? How was that for you?
Believe it or not, they were very similar in the sense. Well, working with Madison, I'm more out front, which I had to get comfortable with, because I was always okay with being in the back. So like doing the stage play, the only time the audience ever saw me was when I came out at the end to kind of thank everybody for coming. And even then, I was such a shy person. I've evolved through that. Like I had to work through that, because I was always a shy person. I never really cared.
Don't do it. We're going to come to that in a minute. Come on.
I had to evolve, Grant. I had to evolve.
Okay, brother.
So, for me, that was easier, because I was able to just kind of be behind the scenes, auditioning people, casting people, doing rehearsals, meeting with the wardrobe people for costuming, right? Meeting with the set designers to build the set, So it was always me just working with production people.
Okay.
I never had to really work with. And of course I did like radio interviews and things like that to promote the show. But even with that, like people don't really see you. Like you're behind a microphone and people just hear you. So it was really an adjustment working with Madison online. And like for the first 6 months, people didn't even know that I was there, like, because I was behind the scenes. Right. And then when she and her former co-host had that fallout, that was when we kind of moved towards the front.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of like serendipitous the way that it happened.
Okay. Did your plays tour? Did you do bus and trucks, or were you a local?
What?
Huh?
Bus and trucks.
Bus and trucks.
Oh, bus and trucks. Okay, no, it was local. The shows were here in Atlanta.
Okay.
But my goal was to tour the shows. That was my goal. And I wanted to tour the shows. I actually met with Tyler Perry. He came to the stage play the first time that the show was produced. And, I thought I was going to get that contact through him to a national promoter. but that didn't happen. And then I ended up meeting his promoter, who also not only promoted Tyler's Place, but he promoted the Hopeville tour. If you remember, tour with Franklin and Yolanda Adams. But then he did the Tom Joyner cruise as well. So this promoter was like, he had his hands in a lot of different things. And so I ended up meeting him, and we had a meeting. And I remember at the time I was so broke. I flew down to Dallas on Sky Miles. I flew down one morning, and I came back the same day because I didn't have money to stay overnight. I had enough money to get that plane. I flew on Sky Miles, but I had just enough money to land, get a rental car, get a little something to eat, get back on that plane, and come back. And I had a meeting with him, and we went through all of the details of, my idea for how to tour the show. Because at the time, my idea was to tour the show alongside the Black Gay Pride events that happen across the country.
God, okay.
So, and his thing was, I don't know how to tour a gay play. I said, well, he said, I don't know how to promote a gay play. I said, no, you promote it the same way you promote Tyler shit. The difference is, I need you to give me some marketing money to go into these different cities. So at the time, I don't know if you guys know Earl Folk. He was he was over
all the Black Pride.
He was over all of the Black Gay Pride events. And so I had a meeting with him, and I said, listen, I know you guys don't get the marketing dollars that white gay prides get. So I have this promoter on board. And what I can do is, when I go to each city, I can give you guys X amount of dollars to promote my stage play before we come. And so that was the plan. And then, of course, the promoter would have still promoted like on radio, the way that he would
the way he does it.
But I wanted that ground level promoting too. And so I can't say for sure what happened, but the very next week, the promoter said to me, well, if you can get Earl Folk on board, then I will promote the show. I will take the show on tour. But then the next week, when we were supposed to have a conference call, I had spoken to Earl, and Earl said, yes, I'll do it. Because Earl had seen the stage play. He saw it day and night. And so he said, yes, I'll agree to do it. But then when I was supposed to have that next call with the promoter, I never got him on the call again. Now, my thoughts tell me what may have happened, but I can't be sure. So but I never got him on the phone again.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the show never toured. It only happened here in Atlanta, and the show sold out. But it also
a day in the life. Is that what you said?
A day in the life. A day in the life.
Was that at the 7 stages over in still 5 Points?
It was at 7 stages. It was at 14th Street Playhouse.
Yes, I didn't see the show, but I know I'm familiar with the show.
Everybody gay who was into the arts and stuff at that time, they knew about A Day in the Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happened when I put my first book out? Let's say it again.
I'm laughing. Okay, I'm not gay, but I saw the show, man. I'm just saying,
and then when I put my
that's what's crazy. That's what's crazy with me, Craig. The crazy thing with me is I don't have a label for folks. You know what I'm saying? I have a label for good folks and great people. That's what I draw. That's what I did. Okay, but it's funny because when he said that he didn't see it and I seen it, I was like, well, ain't that a bitch?
Right. Okay.
But the thing that's so crazy is because, like I was saying a moment ago, I was so behind the scenes. Like I just never wanted to be up front. But I understand now that was also how God was able to use me to this ability now, because I had to step forward, But at any rate, it wasn't until I put my first book out, Words Never Spoken, that a lot of people connected the dots. Oh, this is the guy who wrote that play. Because a lot of people didn't even know I had written A Day in the Life. But I write about it in my memoir. So
okay. All right. So now we're forging books and becoming the author. Okay. This particular journey is a little different, similar, but yet a little different. What was this like for you while writing? What is your discipline for writing? I think that's a better question. What is your discipline for writing, considering that it takes the time that it takes, and they're trying to balance a personal life, trying to balance having money coming in, trying to balance, okay, I'm an entrepreneur on top of it and things. And what was that shift like for you personally with having to balance all of that in an area that, number one, folks don't understand. They think it's just a pastime. Number two, because we understand it, we know the money ain't coming right away. It's an investment. So what is that like for you, and as far as that adjustment for you?
It is so, you hit on so many things in that question, because my mom was one of those people. She used to say, that's a hobby. You can do that later. She said, you need to get you
go get a real job.
Yeah, she used to tell me, she said, you need to get you a job with a 401k.
Man, don't that make
you
oh my God.
But guess who's paying some of her bills now? You know, but to your point, it is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your passion. It's an investment in your dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I first started writing, I moved here 2 days after I graduated from Hampton, right?
Okay.
So I did have corporate jobs. I was working, I worked at Coca-Cola. I worked at Hewlett-Packard. I worked at IBM. I worked at MARTA, which is the transit company here. Like, I've worked at so many different companies, right? And I was trying to juggle the two. What I've learned about myself is, and when I think back on everything that I've created, whether it's books, whether it's the greeting card business, whether it's the stage plays, whether even when I was writing music, all of those things happened while I was single, right? So I didn't have to juggle that. But I did have to juggle working a job. And it was very, very difficult. And there were so many times that I would take that leap and I would leave a job because I would tell myself, well, listen, you're either going to be an artist or you're going to work a day job.
Right.
And looking back, I realized that I took bigger risks than I needed to. I left my jobs oftentimes, and then I would be stuck at the end of the month or the beginning of the next month trying to figure out how I was going to pay all the bills because I had left this job in my career. And so I always tell, you know, artists or entrepreneurs, like, don't leave your day job until you absolutely have to. And you will know when you can leave, because the money will be coming in and you won't be able to divide your time.
Right.
Artists and entrepreneurs will want to leave their job ahead of time because it's like you want to convince yourself that you're fully invested, and you want to convince the people around you that, oh, she really doing it. Oh, she left her job. But no, you'll know when it's time to leave. And so, but it was years. So I have to tell you, like, it's only been probably 4 years that I have not done anything else except live off of, you know, my writing. Your
own work. Right.
Exactly. Because I would always have to go back to, like when I released Words Never Spoken, the first book, that was 2012. I was working for a home auction company. They were auctioning off foreclosed homes. So I would do that, but it was a part-time type thing. The money was really good and it didn't really get in my way. Then when Lyft and Uber came around, I started driving for Lyft and Uber. So that was a way for me to replenish my savings. So when I would print 100 books to take to a book signing, I could go and drive and make that money back, or buy a plane ticket to go to the next city for a signing. So I was able to reinvest in what I was doing. But it's a, and I say this in one of my books, your success is on the other side of your sacrifice.
Yes.
So the question becomes, so the question becomes, what are you willing to sacrifice for your dream? You know, and so for me, the sacrifices were going without a car for 2 years at a time, because I made tough decisions many times. As an entrepreneur, as an artist, we make tough decisions, tough financial decisions every single day. So there were times that I had to decide whether or not I was going to pay my car insurance, or print books, or print greeting cards, or whatever it was. Some of the sacrifices that I made was staying with friends, sleeping on couches, or sleeping on, you understand what I'm saying? Going to live with my parents for 1.5 years, you know, but, you know, so the question really becomes, what are you willing to sacrifice? So it just took a while for things to click, but I was planting those seeds. And I say all the time, for every single step that you take for yourself, God will take 3 for you, but you have to take the first step. And so I just kept putting these books out. I put out my first book, and then I put out the second one, then I put out the third one. And then by the time I put out my 4th book, which I believe is the most transformative book, because I think it just relates to, it can connect to so many different people. And I just think that my writing is evolved in this book. It's called Book of Jewels. But my 4th book, by the time that book came out, I had 200 and some pre-orders.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because I had planted those seeds. You know, so
Right,
when I
right.
had a following, a a community of readers that was waiting for the next book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll put your quote
Dope.
down there because that's significant, honey.
Oh yeah.
Your success is on the other side of your sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's something that I want you to expound on just a little bit, and that there is part of the inner struggle. I'm not going to say we're still not struggling, because a lot of folks think that once success happens, that the hustle is still not there. No, the hustle's still there. It just changes because now everything has elevated. And
Yeah.
I tell folks, once you reach the top rung of the ladder that you're on, you automatically become the bottom rung of the new ladder you got to
Yes,
climb.
indeed. Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So for that, and understanding those particular sacrifices, and understanding, okay, do I pay the car note or do I get books printed? Okay. Do I forego paying the mortgage or the rent because this deadline is up on me? And
Yes,
okay,
indeed.
okay, that's a big decision. And all of that. What in that, or a part of that particular side of the struggle, what type of advice do you give folks who are stuck yet they don't know how to rationalize the idea? Because just like you said before, we got folks who will jump at the thing because they're trying to prove that, oh, I'm down for the cause, and oh, I'm down for my art, and because of what we believe a starving artist is supposed to look like. But what is your advice to those who are at the pinnacle of success, or wanting to at that crossroads of having to make a decision, but yet they don't know how to think it out? I always say make educated choices versus bad decisions. What is your advice to that?
For me, one of the things that I pray about on a consistent basis, every night I get down on my knees and I pray.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I pray is, what are the next best steps? What is it that you would have me do next?
Mm-hmm.
How can I use my gift to reach, to teach, and to heal? That's really what I asked. And so, like I said a moment ago, I never decided to start a greeting card business. It just kind of came to me. I never decided to write a day in the life. A day in the life happened because I was dating a guy. This was back in '99. I was dating a guy, and he found that he was HIV positive. That was why I ended up writing a day in the life. A day in the life became all of the things that I did not understand about the LGBTQ community.
Uh-huh.
And the same thing with the books. Like they all kind of happened to me. Like I didn't go out and decide. So I just, my advice is, first and foremost, be adaptable, especially if you're an artist or you're an entrepreneur, and you got your eye focused on a specific dream. What I will tell you is the universe conspires to work in your favor. The universe is going to do everything in its ability. The universe is going to do everything in its ability to push you forward as quickly as possible to your dream. And a lot of times we try to expedite success. We try to manage success. We try to control success. We try to connect the dots in our life. When the truth is, sometimes you just have to take your hands off the rein. And I talk about this in Book of Jewels.
Right, yes, you do.
You got to control the reins to life.
Right.
Sometimes you have to take your hands off the reins and let life guide you.
Right.
And what I mean by that is sometimes it means going to a job that you don't want to damn do. But there's a lesson at that job. Because the universe wouldn't send you to that job. I can't tell you how many times I worked at Banana Republic one time in retail. I remember being a host at a restaurant another time. And the entire time I was wondering, like, why am I here? This has nothing to do with my dream. In the moment, I was thinking and feeling those things. But now looking back, there are things that I learned and took with me from each of those jobs that I now use and apply in my business. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
trust and believe and know that there are no detours.
Okay.
There are no detours. Sometimes it feels like you're going
nobody wants to put in the work no more, Craig. That's the problem. Nobody wants to put in the work. They want to go straight to it. They want to go from this is what I want to do to doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like you learn nothing.
Yes. And a lot of times people want you to give it to them. They want you to show them how to do it. Oh, can you just do this for me? No, that's not how it works.
Right.
That's not how it works. So, you know, my advice is to adapt to whatever comes. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I'll tell you, I'm a very spiritual person, not religious, but spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned that was when things started to happen for me. Once I realized that I needed to just adapt to the things that were happening to me, whether it was a car being repossessed, because that was the universe trying to make my life easier.
And right. Guess what came out of that? You learning that was the universe to make your life easier.
Yes.
In that moment, though, we sit up there thinking that the world just collapsed. How am I going to do this? Right.
It's about learning to adapt to whatever comes. You got to adapt to whatever comes. And so for me, I was trying to hold on to a car and trying to figure out how I was going to pay the car payment. But once that car was taken, and I remember praying about it, dear God, please, I need to make a way for this car. Well, the way was that it was repossessed. And then when it was repossessed, I said, well, wait a minute now. And then I thought about it. And then she said, well, you said that you didn't want to have to worry about this car payment. Now you don't. You know, but it freed up my mind to be more creative and to think of other things. Mm-hmm. I was no longer trying to figure out how to pay this car payment.
Right.
You know? And you know what? When that happened to you, Craig, think about this. Just think back to the end, because this happens all the time. I tell people I'm real analytical when it comes to life. Mm-hmm. When that happened to you, how soon did something come about in your life where that freed up money was needed?
Let me explain something to you. and I shared this particular story in my first book. My car had been repossessed. And just to make a very long story short, because the whole story is in the book, I had just reconnected with a friend of mine from college. And she was having, she had a company car. She had a company car.
She was a pirate?
Huh?
She was from Hampton?
She was from Hampton.
Okay. I did a year at Hampton. So when you said Hampton, I got excited. We connected.
Yes. She and I reconnected in Atlanta. We had gone to Hampton together. And so my car was repossessed. And I promise you, just as sure as I'm sitting here, within 2 weeks of my car being repossessed, she said to me, I have a solution for you. She said, I have a company car. She said, but my car is sitting outside. I used the company car. She was living in Boston by the time this happened, though. Right. She said, I'm going to fly you to Boston if you're willing to come and get this car and drive it back to Atlanta. She had a fully loaded Honda Accord. When I say fully loaded, I mean sunroof, power windows, locks, leather seats, Sirius XM radio. I mean, it was loaded. She was still paying the car payment. She said, you come and get this car. She said, all you need to do is put gas on it and you can keep it for as long as you need. Just as sure as I'm sitting here, I had that car for an entire year.
Wow.
So again, you just got to trust the universe. You have to trust the universe that everything happens when and as it should.
Right.
And I can't say that enough. And so, you know, like I said, I didn't know how I was going to get around without a car, but I was not without a car longer than 2 weeks.
How about that? How about that? Let me ask you, because you said something, and I want to get your opinion on this, because I just had an epiphany. And you said either you are an artist or you're an entrepreneur. And the epiphany that just hit me so strongly, because I had never connected it, is that an artist is an entrepreneur.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Oftentimes we don't make that connection because we don't treat ourselves as a business or a product.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So having that revelation, when you made it and understood the power and significance of that, how is it that you started to understand what your brand meant to you, and how did you come to take it seriously?
So, you know, I was at this crossroads, and I, you know, of course you got to pay your bills, you know,
right,
and you got to take care. You got to buy stuff like deodorant and toothpaste.
Hello, yeah.
You know, all of those things. It just seems like, you know, all of those things kept coming up, and I was like, well, listen, Craig, you're gonna have to keep a day job. And then I saw an interview with Denzel Washington where he said, you have to do what you have to. You do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Ooh.
And so when I heard him say that, it was just like, well, Craig, you just have to do this day job until you can do what you want to do.
You can do it, right?
You're off course. It doesn't mean your dreams aren't going to happen.
Right.
Just do what you have to do. And it was a lesson in ego. That was a lesson in ego for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once I was writing my first book, remember, I self-published. So I didn't have a major publishing house behind me. I didn't have a PR team behind me. All I had was Facebook. And this is before you could do Facebook Live. There was no such thing as Instagram yet. Wait. No, Instagram did exist. Instagram exists, but there was no Instagram Live and all that. There was no YouTube Live.
Right.
And so I remember thinking like, well, how are you going to promote this book? Like, how are people going to find out about this book? How are you even going to afford to print copies to sell the book? And then I used to just quiet those fears. And I used to say, you know what? I don't have to worry about that. That's God's job. That's the universe's job.
Exactly.
I just need to focus on finishing the book. And so I started using Facebook at that time because this is when I started to understand that I was building a brand.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to use this Facebook. This is going to be the vehicle to sell these books. Now, of course, I had no idea that Facebook Live was coming and I would start doing live videos. But I started posting specifically about what I was doing. I was no longer just posting random shit on Facebook. I really made the decision that I was going to use this as a marketing tool. So what I did was every time somebody sent me a friend request, I accepted it, whether I knew them or not. Because I knew that they were going to see my promotion when the time came. Then what I did was, every time that I sat down to write, I would take a picture of my laptop with my glass of wine or my cup of hot tea, whatever it was I was doing. I would take a picture and then I would post it on Facebook and I would say, sitting down to write my first book, my memoir, whatever it was. My posts were always relative to that. And then when I got to the first 100 pages, I printed it out and I took a picture with the manuscript. And I said, these are the first 100 printed pages. And I posted that. Memoir coming soon. Then once I figured out what the title of the book was going to be, I said, words never spoken. And I would have like a quote from the book.
From the book, right.
Yeah. And then I would put words never spoken coming soon. And then by the first day that the book was on sale on Amazon, I had sales, and I had sales every single month. Now, they weren't sales where I could live off of. Just remember I said I had to substitute teach and all these other things. But eventually it snowballed, and I started planting these seeds.
Right. Okay. So now the seeds are planted, and we are now getting adjusted to what Atlanta living is. You know, what's the hype, what's not the hype, honey. Okay. Understanding the scene. Okay. And all of that. Right. Now it comes to, you meet this phenomenon named T.S. Madison. What was that experience, and how did that seed blossom?
She would always come across my timeline. Like somebody would share. I wasn't connected to her on Facebook or Instagram, but some way, somehow, well, her stuff would always go viral. Right. So I would just hear this person saying, I'm at the Marvelous Chateau, honey, and she would just be saying all these things, or she'd be ranting, reading people, talking, and I'm like, who is this person? I didn't even know at the time that she was trans. I didn't know that she was trans until she started talking about having a dick. Y'all bitches can suck my dick. Right. So what happened was I reached out to her on Facebook and I asked her to come on my podcast, So Much to Say, and be a guest. And she agreed to do it. And so she came on, and that particular day was the very first day that I went live on Facebook because she pushed me. She said, you trying to sell these books? She said, you need to use your personality to sell these books. She said, because if people like you, they'll support. Essentially what she was saying was, if people like you, they will support you. She said, but they need to see your personality. It's not enough to just post pictures of your book. It's not enough to post pictures of yourself with the book, put pictures from signings and things. You have to engage the people. and not just upload videos of yourself. You need to be live because they need to know that you're there right now. They need to know that when they type down in them comments that you see it right now and you can respond. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
he taught me that. And so I did the podcast with her, and then she left. And then about a month or two later, she called me and said, I need to set up a podcast for me and my co-host. And she said, how much would you charge me to do this to set it up? And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm not going to charge you to set up the podcast because I just believe as Black people, we need to get in the habit of helping each other more without always attaching a price to it.
How about that? And
so she said, well, no, I want to pay you. I said, no, I don't want you to pay me. And so I set up the podcast, and then she said to me, well, how do we record? We need somebody to record it and edit it and then release it because it needed to be released to all of the places where podcasts go.
Right.
And she said, well, can you do that? I said, well, I can do it, but now I'm gonna have to charge you because that's right. So that was how we started working together. And so again, the universe knows better than you and me how to move you forward the quickest, most efficient way possible.
Right.
Me and her co-host fell out. I was there because I was there to record their podcast.
Right.
So when that unraveling happened, I was there. And it just so happened that just a few weeks before the fallout, Madison started calling on me to help her set up the lights for the show and put together topics for the docket. I was helping her at the time. I now do the docket, but at the time she would ask me to pull things and then I would give them to her and she would add, you know, and so we would come up with the docket and, you know, whatever. And so when that fallout happened, like I said, she started to talk to me more on camera and then the people knew me. And then subsequent to that, the book started selling. Then she started running my commercials through her show. And then people started buying the books. And so I say all of that to say, it's important to know when to charge people for something and when to just give out of the kindness of your heart, because the law of reciprocity will ensure that you get what you deserve. And so even though I was working with her for free for like those first 6 months, not the pod, she was paying me to do the podcast, but I was show running at that time for free. But it paid off because then I was paid through my book sales. And then here I am now on this TV show with her, all because I was selfless and said, you know what, I'll help you. Because I just saw a person who was trying to keep the show going. And, you know, and as an entrepreneur and as an artist, I know what it's like to need somebody to just give you a helping hand without saying, well, how much you gonna pay me to do this? You know?
Right. Okay, then I'm finna go to be a little delicate here. Okay. Being on the team over there and having to be part of the team, how are you able not to get personally intertwined or let your personal feelings take over? Or is that too late now because y'all have a bond? Because we had a couple of major public fallouts, okay, that the first one didn't shake me so much, okay? I was more so concerned about her. The last one, I was concerned about everybody because I had an investment there, you know? I'm like, oh my God, you know? I mean, we even said something. We had did a whole thing about, okay, Maddie, look, we praying for y'all. We don't know what's going on, but you know, listen, you know, we got your back. Cause I'm about ready to come over with my meat cleaver, honey. I thought we were gonna, you know, I'm from Detroit. You know, we got flamethrowers and meat cleavers, baby. We'll burn some shit down. But how do you keep yourself focused on the business, yet not get too personally intertwined at the same time? Because it's like, okay, she's got to handle that, but at the same time, she's relying on me. How do you balance that without taking it home and it's resting on you?
Well, here's the thing, and I'm sure you're talking about what happened with her manager, which was the second fallout. Madison and her former manager, they had worked together for, I guess, about 7 years or so. But you know, he lived in another state. So they saw each other when there was a booking, when she had a booking. And so he would go with her to different appearances and things like that. The difference with my relationship with Madison is we both live in Atlanta.
Yeah, right here.
And we were doing the show together every week. So I saw her every week. And so our relationship was different in the sense that we clicked, like our personalities clicked. We have similar humor. You know what I'm saying? So we had personal conversations.
Personality, right.
And so, you know, and we play off of each other, right? And I think what happened was, with respect to me and him, there was some animosity. You know, he would kind of go back and forth. There were times that he would say he had no issue with me, and then there were other times that, you know, he said that he did. And then when they had the fallout, then I was okay again, and she was the enemy. But, you know, I just I didn't get involved in that, because I'm not a person that gets involved in things like that. Because I was going there just to create. I looked at it, this is me creating, like helping her put together the show. So I'm not there to do, you know, arguments and personality differences. Like, we don't have to go out for drinks and dinner afterwards. And again, I didn't meet him until we started touring the Queen's Supreme Court show. So that's another thing that I brought to the show, to T.S. Madison. You know, she was doing the show virtually or online all of those years, or however long they were doing it. And then I kept pushing her to take the show national. Let's go city to city. Let the fans of the show come in, see the show live. They purchase tickets, you know, whatever. And so the first time that I met him was at one of the live shows. And so there were issues. You know, sometimes I felt like he had an issue with me, and I think there was some. And I'm not a person that sits around and says, "Oh, well, this person is jealous of me, or this person is envious of me." But, you know, there's no other way that I can say it. But I just felt like he felt some sort of envy of my relationship with Madison, and because I had Madison's ear. But because I was coming to her with great ideas, and it doesn't mean that she took all of my ideas, but a lot of them they made sense. Right. And so I think he felt a way. He felt like it's almost like when a parent, when parents have that first child, and then they have that second child, and the second child kind of becomes the favorite. That child is the baby. That's kind of how it was. I can only just kind of give it to you in an analogy. And I just kind of felt like he had an issue with me just because, I guess from his perspective, it seemed like I was taking her away from him.
The new baby.
So, but it had nothing to do with me.
But it's not even like that, Craig. I mean, all of us here have been in this industry enough to know that people act like that when they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know about me when it's time to talk. I don't cut no corners or none of that. None of that. And I will read your ass. None of that. I'm going to tell you what it is, because I feel like I don't have to remember what I said, and you should understand clearly. And if you don't, I will reiterate. I will flip it on you, no problem. How you want it? You want it with a punchline, or you want it with a doggone cap and gown? How you want it? I give it to you how you want.
Right. Okay. So, that's the only thing that's the only thing I can surmise from it, right? Because like I said, I never saw him until we went to these different cities. And at the time we were touring, we were doing 1 or 2 shows a month. So I only saw him twice a month max. Right. And so, you know what?
Did you connect that dot there that you got your tour? See, this you went full circle because you wanted to tour with the play.
I wanted to tour my play.
Now your tour, But you,
I did. I really did. And I'm glad you caught that. Because see, here's the thing, and that was a part of my selling point. Because at the time when I first started talking to Madison about touring the show, she and her former co-host were still together. Right. And I was like, listen, if these, because they had club promoters that would book them and they would pay them X amount of dollars to come in. And I was,
because I remember she was doing it. Yeah.
And I said to both of them, I said, listen, if they're willing to pay you guys this, just imagine how much you could make. And remember, at this time, I wasn't even a part of the show. I was only there to record their podcast. Right. But it was my theater background coming in.
Exactly.
So saying it to them, and they were like, And so then when she left, when the former co-host left, I had Madison's ear, and it took me 8 months to convince her, but I eventually convinced her.
Right.
And listen, you're always online talking about your LGBTQ royalty. Now you talk about you scared that you're not sure if the people are going to show up for the tour.
Right.
Oh, they
right.
I kept pushing her, and I'm like, Madison, I know how to do this. I've sold out stage plays in Atlanta, and that was before social media. You have all of these people following you. You're gonna get people to come.
Right.
And so I just had to prove it to her. And so I found a venue here in Atlanta, and that's how it started. And so then she really started to see, okay, me and this boy can make some money, right?
Right.
And I just think that her past manager just felt the way about it. You know what I mean? Because we just were in sync in so many different ways.
But see, it's really it's a misconception that your own people they're not gonna support when it comes to something live. When you so stuck around there virtual, because you know as well, I do radio and all that. So when you thinking you got to step outside of that to a stage perspective, you're like, man, is anybody gonna come in? Is anybody gonna show up? So I feel Maddie. Okay.
Yeah.
So at the same time, what Maddie didn't understand is she made so much noise that people in my circle know who she is.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're willing to buy tickets.
Yes. Because I'll tell you this, the majority of our audience, when we did those live shows, were straight Black women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gay men were there too, for sure. But the majority was Black straight women.
Yeah.
And they know it. And if anybody know Black straight women, my whole ass knows. So I know that's how.
Okay.
And it just belittles me how you hold back. Just let go.
Yeah. And she was also afraid of starting, because I decided that we should start the first show, the kick off the tour here in Atlanta. And she's like, well, no, because people in your hometown, they don't come out and support you. And I said, but it makes sense for us. I said, I don't believe that, but I think it makes sense for us to start here. Excuse me, because there's no overhead. We didn't have to travel. We didn't have to pay for flights or whatever. We didn't have to pay for hotels.
Right.
You get in your car, we're gonna get down to this venue. And that was it. Like, we didn't have overhead.
Right.
And so we were able to take that money from that first show and reinvest it. And we just
reinvest it. Right.
When she saw them people there, she boo-hooed. Like on
she was like, bitch, do you know how much money we made?
Okay.
Well, I see it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I was sure to make sure I was sure to broker my deal before we kicked it out. I said, now I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z.
Okay, now let's go here, because now the T.S. Madison Experience, the show, the TV show, is up. And I got to get Maddie over here because, God damn it, she's been on my radio show twice. And I got to get her over here because I first interviewed her back in 2012. Okay, before all of this. She was still, look at my cough when she was in the basement with Chi-Chi. Okay, they carried on. When she was just first starting a lot of stuff. And I marvel at her because she's someone who I consider to be one of my sheroes in this internet thing. She and Funky Dineva and Lonnie B, Darren Fleet, those are I look up to them because of what they've been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Now that the TV show is up, what is it that you would like to tell folks? I'm gonna phrase that differently. What do you think is the biggest misconception that folks have about you? Because that first episode, baby, they got you. I titled today's show, I said what I said, bad and bougie or just completely misunderstood. Okay. What do you think folks misconstrue about you and your personality and who you are? Because a lot of folks take your confidence and believe you're just a bougie bitch who is one of them uppity queens, honey, who come from the suburbs and all of that. What is it that you think is a big misconception about you that folks may misconstrue with the TV show?
That I'm arrogant and that I
told you that.
That I'm arrogant and that I'm bougie. That I think I'm better than the rest of the cast, and I think I don't belong there, and I think I'm better than all of them. But here's what I have said, and it was really because, like, in my first the first scene that they showed.
Yeah.
You hear me saying, yes, the show can go on without me, but it won't
never be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you hear me in my interview saying I have 4 5-star books.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is those were just pieces of what I said.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that's fine if people think that I'm arrogant or that I'm bougie, because it allows teachable moments. And here's a teachable moment. And I tweeted about this after that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just speaking about Black people because for me, I'm all about the edification of Black people, just improving Black people as a whole. Which I will start by saying, I think that's one of the beauties of the T.S. Madison Experience, the TV show, is that I think it's going to help bridge the Black LGBTQ community and the Black straight community. I think
I believe that
close that divide some more because there are a lot of teachable moments on the show. But what I would say with respect to people who saw the episode or the episodes and they think that I'm arrogant or whatever, we've created this narrative, or we've become so comfortable. We've become so comfortable in the Black community with seeing Black men splitting verbs, walking around with their pants hanging down, insecure, low self-esteem, walking around with their heads down or whatever. And so when a person who is the complete antithesis of that,
say it.
It's, oh, he's arrogant. No, I need you to get comfortable seeing Black men speak intelligently. I need you to see Black men that are cultured, Black men that are well-traveled, that are educated. We need to normalize that, because if it means that I'm going to be the lamb, if I'm going to be the sacrifice, then so be it, because I want to contribute to changing that narrative.
Okay.
We shouldn't be that.
We need that. And we need
we shouldn't be so comfortable seeing Black men speaking splitting verbs and all of those things, right?
Let me assist you. 48 hours ago, McDonald's drive-thru, my oldest daughter with me. We're having a nostalgic daddy-daughter night. I'm buying her vanilla shake. It's a gentleman in the second line. He's yelling across to the car in front of me to some young lady that's driving. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. And I looked at her. I said, if I ever see you respond to somebody doing that, we gonna fight like you was born a boy.
Right. We have to raise the bar. We need to start raising the bar. And,
so when he got out his car ignorantly because we were waiting. The line was moving. Do you know he walked up to this girl's car? Now at this moment, I'm intrigued. Okay, like what do you have to say? Because it sounds like you missed daycare. Okay, so I'm sitting here like.
He said you missed daycare.
I said, he walked up and he said these exact words and put this on everything. What your name is.
But then when I get on TV and I'm speaking correct English, he think he's better. So what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying, Black people? You prefer for us to speak like that?
Let me ask you, let me ask this, because being part of the alphabet children, and then we Black alphabets. Okay. Yeah, because I ain't got time for all them damn letters. I just said the alphabet.
Which part of the soup are you?
See. Or the cereal. Okay, I prefer the cereal.
Crazy.
Part of our narrative, or our stereotypical narrative, is that we're bougie anyway. Because we're all like the finer things, and we're all prissy and delicate, and because it's kind of like from Birdcage, because when they read the newspaper, he went to the arts and leisure section and all of that. We already have that as a part of us, and our narrative according to society. What do you think would be the benefit of you showing us that there's a different approach to this, and they're showing Black men and Black gay men in another light, that can defeat some of what folks believe is already a stereotype?
Well, I mean, that's what I hope will happen through this TV show, because one of the examples that I've given countless times is when the Cosby Show was on the air. Black people didn't think Black people live that way. Oh, there's no thing as a Black doctor and a lawyer living in a, that doesn't happen. There were Black people who didn't believe that that was possible. The media has a direct impact on how we think and what we think is possible. And so but the Cosby Show set the precedence. So after the Cosby Show, every single Black television show that came on, they were either middle class or they were wealthy. You'll never see a family on television that lives the way they lived on Good Times.
Good Times.
It's just not
for
happen.
so long.
Right.
For so long, Good Times have been the standard of Black living. Good Times and Sanford and Son. And even though he was an entrepreneur, owning his own business. And the Jeffersons.
Okay. And so even though the Jeffersons, they had made it, but George wasn't educated. He was just
he was a loudmouth. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but the Cosby Show changed the landscape of television. So, if people want to say that about me because of, whatever, maybe in 3, 4, 5 years, it would change the narrative. Because what I know to be true is when I was a kid, I remember my dad, first of all, culturally speaking, in terms of Black people, we're often told, well, don't celebrate yourself too loudly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you get a new pair of sneakers when you're a kid, or you get a new car, or as you mature and you become an adult and you get a promotion at your job, or you buy your first home. People tell you, oh, well, don't say it too loud. You don't want to sound like you're bragging. Or you come from a family where you can't celebrate your accomplishments, or you have friends where you can't celebrate your accomplishments because they're gonna say, oh, he thinks she better, or he thinks he's better. No, we need to learn to celebrate our accomplishments.
Or how about this?
Yeah, because you like you said, you raised the bar and you set an example for those to come. Like, come on, I don't understand. I don't understand it. It's like okay, like you write stage plays. I believe us as successful people in the media, because I feel like I'm successful, and you, if you knew what they said about me when I leave out the room. Okay. Oh man. Oh yeah. He a big old sissy. Everything he do, he walking around. He got the ally flag on him, and okay. Oh, and he's always on this. And I just did an interview on Blast Radio. That's an all lesbian radio station. They asked for me because I thought I was the one bridging the gap between the heterosexual community and LGBT. You get what I'm saying? So. And then when I was on your show, I called hell.
Yeah, I remember. Gay Like Me with me and Derek J.
Right, when you were there. I love Derek. You know what I'm saying? But I called hell. You know what I'm saying? After that, the thing is, I'm so able to defend it articulately, it confuses them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to get ignorant with you belligerent. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to explain to you, maybe you need to get where I'm at.
Okay. Here's another thing that all of that, the one that was my favorite, because I made the mistake of dumbing myself down for my friends because I thought it was easier to communicate because I had so many folks who did not have my vocabulary, and my vocabulary has suffered since then. But one of the other things they would say is, "Oh, you two this, you bougie, you that." I didn't have the coin, but I was always told I'm acting white. Oh, you just trying to be white, and this, that, and another. Because and for a long time, they told me I didn't know how to cuss right because I cussed too properly. And all that kind of shit. But
can you define acting white?
I don't know.
This is my definition. This is my definition.
Okay, you dumb. I'm not looking at you. Okay.
Just don't make sense.
Right. Here is where I want to take you to, and I'm gonna let you get ready to get back to your world, because I want to go here. Now that you are in relationship, okay, you got a husband, honey, or at least a fiance.
He went me in the other room because we gotta have movies.
Yeah.
Okay, let me hurry up.
Happy.
I think I celebrate relationships, true relationships. Let me stress that, because anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Now you said something earlier about part of me getting to where I wasn't in a relationship. I was single, but I had the job.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have the job, but you got the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
How is that with your personal life? Being able to juggle all of this, juggle all of that. Now that you're on this reality show,
Mm-hmm.
if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting the popularity and the exposure in such another way, because now strangers are coming up. You know, you go on places, folks are recognizing you.
And they recognize him too.
Okay, right, because of the show. Okay. What is that like now, and how do you guys maintain your privacy without without the world trying to interfere and tell you how to run your relationship, or get personal trying to find out who top or bottom?
Well, here's the thing. We do a good job of not being so available on social media, for one.
Okay.
He's not a part of the reality show.
Good.
But we do. But there are instances where I think that it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had this idea to do what we call the honest hour.
I just saw that. Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching, the Honest Hour is an opportunity for small businesses, and my intention for going along with it or agreeing to do it was it's an opportunity to showcase small Black-owned businesses, because I believe that we can create more Black millionaires if we use our social media accordingly.
Right.
So like, one of the things that I was already doing prior to his suggestion to do the Honest Hour was I always would like when I do my lives on YouTube and Facebook, I would talk about Black-owned restaurants or Black-owned product or businesses that I already support, that I enjoy, that I love, that do business well. I would already talk about those things. And so when he came with this idea, I was like, oh my God, this will be great. So we opened it up, we announce it, and it happens on my YouTube channel once a month. And people who are watching, if they have a small business or a product, they can send their product in to us. To the P.O. box, and then we use the product, and then we evaluate the labeling, we talk about the website, we talk about the product itself, we give them suggestions on how to improve it if it needs that, and then we tell the people, just like you have my quote running at the bottom, we have their website scrolling at the bottom, so that the people viewing, if they want to support the product, they can go to their website and purchase the product. So that's an opportunity, and that's an instance where we are on social media, because I just believe that if people are so interested in seeing me and him together, then see us when we're promoting Black businesses, so that, you know, we can help lift these other companies. But in terms of like keeping it private, that's the main way, you know, just not being so. I think a lot of times people celebrate and show and share too much on social media.
Right.
I've always been pretty private, even prior to us being together. Like I'm just not like a person that really like you'll never see me posting like what kind of watch I just bought or sneakers.
Right.
Like I've just never been that person. But in terms of balancing my work, like he has his own business too, and he works in television and film.
Okay.
So prior to him, you know, I think part of my difficulty in balancing my creativity and creating stuff was being with people who
were not creatives.
Were not creatives. That was it. And it was really hard. But he's such a creative, and like he's working on developing a men's underwear line. But like I said, his full-time job is television and film. He designs sets. He worked on P-Valley. He worked on Black Lightning. He worked on Genius, the Aretha Franklin television.
Yeah.
So he does that. But then he also has an event planning business where he has 2 weddings that are coming up. So he's busy creating his stuff as I am. So it allows me the space and the time to do that.
Right. All right.
Now, you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy?
What's that?
It was one show you had, and I think you were at a relative's house, and you were waiting because you were going to go out. You were going to go out to dinner with him, right? And I think he was picking you up. You were waiting for a lift, or you were waiting for some type of transportation, and you were just talking. You was kind of killing time, and I was laughing because you were talking about where you were supposed to be going or something. And my wife was looking at me, and she's like, "Why are you so tickled? Why don't you laugh?" I said, because if you look at Craig's expressions on his faces, right, Like when he's talking about this guy, I said, so I looked and she was like, so what's so funny? I looked at my wife, I said, why I don't look like that when I talk about you? You need to get your stuff together.
Oh,
See,
okay, that'll do it. That's
she said,
see how
okay,
you call me, have it.
she said, okay, it's time for you and Craig to get off the seat.
Oh my God, that is funny. That is so funny.
Okay.
But she
Well,
loves you
darling,
too, man. She loves you too, bro.
Okay.
Well, tell her I said hello.
All right.
I adore you. I'm waiting for you and Derek J to come back with Gay Like Me. Those particular conversations, because I'm coming back. I just went through and replayed our episode today. I don't even know what led me there. I just replayed it today.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting on that to get restarted and rebooted, because I think that platform is a wonderful avenue to bring in different voices so we can get different perspectives, you know, on the social media frequency, so that we can get that stuff out there so it can create discussion elsewhere.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
my dream for that is I'm actually working on we're creating a sizzle reel now.
okay.
I want to pitch that to some networks, because I believe it's bigger than YouTube. Or if it's on YouTube, it needs to be on like YouTube. What's that platform called? It's YouTube Stories or YouTube something.
Yeah.
They have Facebook Watch. YouTube has a platform like that as well. Or Apple TV or Netflix. So I really want to pitch it, because I really do believe that these conversations are critical. They're important. So so that's something that I'm working on. So hopefully, you know, God.
Okay.
Well, before you get out of here, I'm going to tell you, you got a friend over here in this community. When you need me for anything,
I appreciate it.
Just call me.
Okay.
I'm not hard to find.
I appreciate that.
I'm all over Atlanta. I'm not hard to find. So
yes, I appreciate that.
Okay. But yeah, if you need me for anything, Craig, I'm with you, because I support all you do, man.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Now, Jonathan, give everybody all of your social media so that they can find you, because I'm going to let you get back to your husband and things of that nature. Thank you, baby, for allowing me this little piece of time. I don't like coming in on movie night or whatever. I know how important those are. Okay, trust me, honey. I missed my movie nights, but I had to get rid of that motherfucker, so never mind. But anyway.
My website is CraigTheWriterStewart.com. If you go to CraigTheWriterStewart.com, it will take you to every place. It'll take you to my podcast, which is so much to say. It'll take you to my YouTube channel, which is Craig the Writer. And my Instagram is Craig the Writer Stewart. But yeah, CraigTheWriterStewart.com. Okay.
And please put in the writer. Don't just look for Craig Stewart, because you won't get the white boy.
Yes. CraigTheWriterStewart.com.
Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with being white and carrying on. I just want y'all to get to the right person. Okay, because I did that once. I was like, this ain't who I'm looking for. Anyway, thank you, my darling. Give Maddie and all the crew my love. Tell Chi-Chi I'm coming after her, too. I need her over here. Okay. I need Chi-Chi to talk.
Yes.
No. Chi-Chi need her own lane to sit there. I need to get her here. But give all of them my love.
I will.
And, honey, I'm so thrilled. God damn it, I'm so thrilled for y'all.
Thank you so much.
I'm so, I get chills. I am so fucking thrilled.
Yeah. I think it's going to shift culture. I think it's going to shift to get Black gay culture.
Yeah. It's changing
the
bar. You know what?
I commend you, man. Y'all gonna be the vehicle to make this thing go.
Yeah,
I know it. I know.
Y'all are doing what Noah's Ark did when it first came in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It had that same thing. And what it is the continuation of what Pose was doing, and Pose is in their last season. So they're filming their last season. Y'all coming in, y'all know y'all going for a second season. Y'all already taping. You ain't got to say nothing. I know. But it's the continuation of that. But you're also changing the bar, and raising it, because folks like me, Black and gay and carrying on, it's inspiring me to say, okay, wow, let me carve a lane here, because they done already built the bridge. So let me carve a lane and get on this. Child, I'm so fucking thrilled. I can't stand it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, good night, baby. You get back to your husband and carrying on, and y'all let me know what movie y'all gonna review.
Hey, I'm going over there and watch the Tina Turner documentary.
Oh God, yes.
It came out yesterday. It's on HBO.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right. Good night, baby. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my tea sippers are carrying on. That's Craig the Writer Stewart.